Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Shasha Ilana binti Dahlan and my ID number is BME2311003. Flowchart is a visual diagram that shows the step of a process from start to finish by using symbols like arrow, boxes, and diamonds. It also helps us to understand how a process works, and more importantly, by using flowchart, we can identify where things can go wrong. Now, I'm gonna give you a simple example. Let's imagine the process of ordering product online. There are 5 steps of ordering product online. The first step would be place the order. Second, the process of payment. Third, order is packed. 4, order is shipped. And then 5, customer receives the parcel. So by using flowchart, we can visualize each of these steps. Now, this is where we can identify the risk that may occur. From the process that I mentioned before, there are 3 risks that may occur. The first risk would be payment error risk, which is the payment could fail. The second risk is packing error risk, which wrong item could be packed. The third risk, which is the last risk, is logistic risk, where the delivery could be delayed. By drawing the process using flowchart, we can spot the risks early and plan how to prevent them from happening. The key benefit of flowchart is it's easy for us to understand and it helps us to identify the hidden risks. So the conclusion is a flowchart is more than just a diagram. It's a tool and a technique to help us to see the whole picture, to find the weak points and help us to manage the risk better. What is risk reduction? Risk reduction means taking steps to lower the chances of a risk from happening. In other words, if it does happen, it can help us to reduce the impact. I'll give you a simple example. Let's say a company stores their important data on computers. The risk would be a cyber attack that could steal or destroy the data. So, the risk reduction strategy that they can use is, first, they have to install firewalls and antivirus software. Then, they have to regularly back up their data. But these strategies doesn't remove the risk completely, but it can help to reduce the chances of successful attack and limit the damage if it does happen. So, the key benefits of risk reduction is it increases the safety and reliability, and it helps the organizations to stay prepared. The conclusion is risk reduction is about being smart and proactive, because we can't always avoid risk, but with the right strategy, we can control it and minimize the harm. What is separation or segregation? Separation or segregation means keeping important resources, processes, or people apart to reduce the impact of risk. In simple words, if one area is affected by a problem, the others can still keep going. Why is this separation or segregation is useful in risk management? Separation or segregation helps to limit the losses and keep the operation running even if one of the part is fails. I'll give you a simple example. For instance, a company has 2 warehouses instead of 1. If a fire or flood damages one of the warehouse, the other warehouse can still store and ship the product, right? Which means the business can still operate but with minimal disruptions. So the key benefit of separation or segregation is it reduces the chances of being total failure. It also helps keep running the services in emergency. So the conclusion is separation or segregation is a simple and smart ways to manage risk. which means, in brief, you avoid losing everything at once. Separation or segregation is all about staying safe and staying in control. What is risk review? Risk review means a regular checkup on risks to make sure they are still relevant, accurately assessed, and managed properly. It's just like going to doctor for a health check, but in risk management, we review risks to stay ahead of problems. There are 2 steps of a risk review process. Steps number 1 is classifying the risks that need to be reviewed and at what frequency. In these steps, we need to classify the risks that need to be reviewed, and then we decide how often do we need to review it. Some risks are high impact and fast changing, which may need monthly review. But for low impact and stable risks, it might only need a yearly review. For example, a company might review a cyber risk every quarter of a year, but only review the office equipment damage risk once a year. The second step of a risk review process is 6 sources of information for the initial evaluation. In this step, we're looking for sources of information to evaluate the risk. Information can come from report, data, interviews, or industry news. As an illustration, reviewing delivering risk. We could look at customer complaints, driver's feedback, and late shipment data. All of this will help us to understand if the risk is getting worse, better, or stays the same. So the conclusion is, doing these 2 steps of a risk review process regularly will keep our risk plan up to date and effective.